Wendy and her brothers are whisked away to a magical world in Neverland with the hero of their stories, Peter Pan.
Hello, Walt listeners. This is Andre, podcast producer extraordinaire here. I just wanted to apologize to you guys because the sound on this episode is a little bit wonky and far away. Good old podcast producer Andre here forgot to actually change it to the recording equipment that I spent so much money on and instead used the microphone in my laptop. So the sound is listenable but not great at all. So I completely understand if you don't get through all of this episode. But if you do, enjoy.
Hi, I'm Andre.
I'm Michelle.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Luis.
And we are the Walt Vault, a family-friendly podcast where we get silly and talk about Disney movies. Welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 14?
14. Why do you, is it a question every time?
Because I second guess myself every single time I think about doing it.
Also, Luis, was that like a Scottish or an Indian accent? Because, I don't know. Great bio today.
Yeah. Well, my wee lassie, let me go ahead and explain it to you.
Okay.
There I was walking on the shores of Loch Ness, and all of a sudden, I came back to Turlock.
You know,
That was an amazing story.
Peter Pan's from London, and he chose a Scottish accent, so, you know.
It's okay. You guys...
So instead, we should be having a British accent
Are
going
we
on.
all talking in a British accent on the podcast for an entire hour? Isn't that what you want?
We're low class, and Andre's the high class, obviously.
Posh spice.
You know who's probably the most British in this Peter Pan movie? Nana.
We will talk about Nana.
A little old nurse dog, nursemaid dog.
Guys, we're talking about Peter Pan, the 1953 animated Disney
And you know, I
film.
didn't realize this came out in 1953 before Disneyland was even open.
Yeah,
This movie is old.
it's old. Oh, also we're joined by little baby Addie, the podcast baby. Hi, Addie.
Who really likes Peter Pan. That's
Yeah, I guess you liked it.
Excited.
Peter Pan.
What are your first impressions, Lou? Is that your first impression? Peter Pan.
Oh, let me go ahead and begin with my first impression.
Oh, he's just gonna keep doing it.
First off, I think that the wee lassie, Tinkerbell, she was quite the rambunctious little gal. Okay, let's go back to English.
I mean, that was English. You just had an accent.
Technically.
But you know, first impression, right off top, the family is being too hard on Dad. Dad is being kind of
Genie.
he doesn't know what's going on because Wendy's actually an adult, if you ask me. And lastly, Tinkerbell is a jealous woman.
That's
Correct.
True.
Yes.
You're correct on that.
A
aspect.
jealous woman.
That's my first impression.
That was a great first impression. I think Addie agrees with you. She's like, yeah, I'm great.
If you had a chance to change your fate, would you?
That's a different movie. Okay. Andre, what are your first impressions of Peter Pan?
Peter Pan. I love this movie. This movie's great. I didn't like
Andre's first impression.
It's great. It's good stuff.
The movie's great.
I don't think I've seen this in a few years. Like probably since I was like a young teenager or an old child, whatever. Back when I was an old child, that's probably the last time I saw Peter Pan. So I wasn't sure if it was gonna hold up necessarily in my mind. But it does for the most part. It's pretty good.
Part.
Yes, for the most part.
Okay.
It has some.
You
some
just went
issues.
through, I love this movie too, for the most part.
Yeah, you know, it's like mostly love, and then there's like a couple of like
What?
red flags.
Yes.
Bing, bing,
Like the red
bing,
people.
bing, bing. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh.
Pun
Yeah.
not
You know, we'll
intended.
talk about You'll have a chance.
Oh no, we're doing it
wait.
already.
Why is the red man red?
Oof.
Yeah, that was. We'll talk about that later. Emily, what's your first impression?
My first impression is that I am like 99% sure that I have never seen this movie.
That's
my first impression.
amazing.
I know. Pretty sure I've never seen it or I saw it as a child, a small child.
A small child. A young child?
A young, small child.
Mm.
I do not remember anything.
Do you just remember like the scene where they fly away and that's it?
I don't remember anything.
So does the ride not make sense to you?
It makes sense because I understand like the
Story,
storytelling of
yeah.
it. So I get like how there's renditions of Peter Pan everywhere
Right.
in their mother.
Yeah.
So I get what Peter Pan is and I understand the concept, but the only thing that I was making any connections with was the ride for Disneyland. Like I was like, oh yeah, this is when they do that. Oh yeah, this
When
is
they
when
when they put all the nice parts in.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. That's Neverland.
oh yay, but it
There's the boat.
Ride, I know.
Yeah, it
Going through the
turned
ride,
cold.
Never understood who or what Tiger Lily. I mean, I understood Tiger Lily was like an Indian,
Mm-hmm.
but I never understood why there were Indians in the movie. Like
Right.
by watching the
Mhm.
being in the ride, and I never understood I thought Skull Rock.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, right.
I thought Skull Rock was in it way more than it was. Like I thought it was like
There's basically just like one shot of it.
yeah. I thought it was like the evil place. So it was just interesting because what I thought it was gonna be and what it was just very different.
Right.
Not that it's bad. It's just I've obviously never seen this movie. So there you go.
There you go.
Voting people.
First time viewing. Yeah, thank you guys for voting for this movie. I wanted to do an older.
Yeah, it's kind of the first classic.
Yeah, we haven't done a
Classic.
classical classic.
Like technically, The Little Mermaid is a classic, but like old Disney classic.
Yeah, it's
Original classic.
Well, and this is definitely the first time, like I said, that I've seen it, but Luis has seen it as well. So I think that this is a good when you said first impressions.
That was
It was real.
Very first
Very first.
Yes.
impressions.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Michelle, what about you?
Well, my first impressions are that this movie is pretty much exactly how I remembered it, but a little bit funnier. Like,
That's good.
It was very
thought
funny.
it was funny. I mean, granted, I agree with Andre, the Indian scene is there, but
Yeah.
it's there.
It's there though.
It's like there,
But
and then it goes
none-
away, and then it comes back, and then it goes
doesn't
away,
stop coming
and then it's
back.
there again, and it's like, oh, it keeps getting worse and worse every single time.
But I don't think, since I was a kid into an adult, none of the like magic of Neverland had gotten lost to me. Like Neverland is still a cool place.
Hmm.
It's pretty intense. It's pretty harsh at times.
Yeah.
Like they're legit going on adventures and doing things, but it's still like that whole like never grew up thing is really appealing to me, and I still really like it. So
Yeah.
I'm happy you guys got to watch it with me.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad that we watched it.
I didn't remember Nana.
What?
Like
Who is
I vaguely remember there being a dog, but I didn't know that Nana was the
The
best dog
nursemaid.
on earth.
She's an old little British nursemaid.
I like that.
Old little British.
She brings them their tonic for bedtime. And
She made their beds. She picked up their toys. Oh my!
times.
Every time that the dad tore down
Nana's face.
her beautiful stacking of all the blocks, I felt so bad for Nana. Why are you doing this to Nana,
When he's like,
Mr.
"No
Darling?"
more." It's so funny because the dad gets so mad. He's like, "No more dogs as nursemaids. This dog is going outside." And he's like, "Don't feel bad, Nana. You just gotta be a dog." And Nana hands him the rope to like tie her up. Like, oh, poor girl.
It's the best when they fall and Mr. Darling falls and then they're like, oh, and then he's like, yeah, I know, I'm okay, but then they're like, Nana.
And even the mom goes to Nana.
Yeah, she doesn't
the
care
mom
about
is
him.
like on the same level of childlikeness as her own children.
Right.
Definitely.
Which is hilarious to me, but I mean,
It's
I don't
not
blame them.
It's not even like childlike. It's just she has like that jovial spirit, and
Mhm.
the dad is just caught up in being, an adult.
Yeah.
But it's
He's like, I got places to be. I'm dressing up. You guys are drawing all over my shirt.
which I would have been mad about too.
It's
I won't lie.
From
Yeah.
growing up.
No, I would have been mad too. And they'd be stealing cufflinks. It's
Yeah.
just
It was the
crazy.
buried treasure, okay?
You're right. It was. You're very right. Oh my.
So also, let's talk about like the moment when you first see Peter Pan. So I always think of Peter Pan as maybe not having such bushy eyebrows, but I don't know.
Well, really, that was the first thing I was thinking, like, what is up with
I'm
suppose
used to
they're
seeing,
fiendish.
yeah, I'm used to seeing Peter
They're
Pan at
fiendish.
Disneyland, and he's usually like a short little dude, and he puts a red wig on, and they paint his eyebrows red, and he looks all cute and jolly and jovial.
And Michelle walks away from me to go talk to him.
Yeah, all the time.
And then he calls me and Andre codfish. You are.
Because he's
His
rude.
eyebrows.
She called me
His
codfish.
eyebrows are disturbing.
So I didn't
Disturbing.
remember just the fact that kind of, like, yes, he's a kid, but he kind of has this, like, teenage look to his face, too, which makes me wonder, like, how old is Peter Pan,
Because he's
actually?
been alive for thousands of years, I assume, right?
Well, yeah, because he's not, he's never going to grow up.
Yeah, he never ages.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
point.
how old is he supposed to be then? Because in different, so okay, I won't lie to you. I have a lot of questions about a lot of things.
There's a lot of stuff
Like
going on in
what? And it's not so much. Maybe it's stuff that doesn't need to be answered, but my curious brain needs to know. Like, how old is he supposed to be? Because in many different scenes, I would give you many different
They
answers.
argued that for this movie, that he's kind of a teenager. Like, he's around 15 or 16.
I mean, I can see him being like 13 or 14. He's got romantic interests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the leader of all the younger kids, you know.
Because he's a leader, he has romantic interests.
The
but
other
in some
kids are
parts-
younger than him, obviously. So I think of him as a teenager.
But
Like a
in
young
some parts, like
teenager.
he gets grossed out over things that a teenager, I feel like he
Sure.
has like childlike reactions.
Yeah.
Like Andre, like 13 or 14.
Think like Andre. Andre, are you 13 or 14?
No, I think like
Well,
what
my
Andre
brain,
said.
uh,
He said 13 or 14.
On a good day.
I know from the novelization point, like, of the story of Peter Pan, that Peter Pan is older than the other Lost Boys, and that it's not that they never grow up, they just age a lot more slowly.
Ah, that's
In
interesting.
the book. Like, in this movie, they never grow up.
Sure.
They go there and they never grow up. So whatever age they left at is what they are.
So another question is, why are they all there? So I know this is where, and I think that I'm getting confused because some of our listeners may or may not also or have in the past watched Once Upon a Time, the TV show put on by ABC. I actually haven't watched in quite a few seasons, but I watched quite a few in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah,
And
we
they-
both did.
Yeah, and they had Peter Pan on there, and the idea was that Peter Pan was kind of like the ringleader of like orphans.
Okay.
And so orphans were the kids who never wanted to grow up, and that's why they didn't know what a mother was. It wasn't so much that they forgot, but it was that they just didn't really
They
know
didn't
what a mother was.
Yeah.
So I don't know, is that just like
Um,
their take on it, or is
So-
that
That's kind
something?
of their take on it.
I read this. In the play, the Lost Boys were infants who fell out of their prams while the nurses weren't looking. So
Out of their what?
their pram, like the
They're-
little crib.
They're
Oh.
great.
So they fell out of the crib and then just ended up in Neverland, I guess.
Yes.
Also-
So, instead of hitting the ground, they never
They went to
landed.
Neverland.
They
Ah.
never landed.
So
I was waiting to say
Well,
that.
Also, in the play, if they seemed to grow up, Peter Pan would kill them to prevent Neverland from an overpopulation and reduce the chances of a challenge to his rule.
Yeah, fairy tales are a little bit intense, originals, you know.
Wow.
Just a little.
But, oh gosh. For the purpose of this movie, if you remember the opening scene, I wonder if Andre could actually look up the dialogue from the very, very opening scene. It says, this has happened before and
Right.
will continue to happen. So there's always a Peter Pan that kind of goes and gets people, and it almost seems like everybody in London knows the story of Peter Pan and knows about this place that they could potentially go.
Well,
But
yeah,
you
it's
can
like
only
a
see Peter Pan if you believe in him.
in the story.
So-
It's like in the movie, Peter Pan himself is like a legend. He's
Yes.
he's a
He's
story tale
Peter
figure.
Pan, the legend. So there's always the Peter Pan, not necessarily maybe it's not the same one, maybe because it's saying like this will happen and will continue to happen. But even Dad, you can kind of see it from generations on.
Yeah.
The Dad at the end is like, oh, I think I've seen that shit before.
I thought they were just setting
You know,
themselves
and
up for a sequel.
He remembers. Yeah, that's
Real
just
early.
him like remembering his
This will
childlike.
continue to
49
happen.
years early.
He's remembering his like childlike sense and that he once believed in Peter Pan and could go to this place. It's just, I guess some people went and never came back. I mean, Wendy and them all came back, but I guess you don't have to.
Here's another question I have. And these aren't questions that are like problems, it's just like, don't really know.
Right.
And maybe just because I'm seeing it as an adult and I just am not like expecting everything to make sense. What was the question? Oh no!
You lost it.
While you think of
lost
it,
boy.
did you guys notice that that Mr. Darling, the dad, he has the same exact voice as Captain Hook?
Same actor.
He is Captain
Andre called it. I was like, no.
That's really fantastic that you say that because that
Ah.
reminds me of my question.
Boom. That was
Okay.
a layup.
That was, see, he knew where I was going with that. Okay, so keep that in your head. Was, based on what I heard, I only heard Wendy say that she was telling the boys a story and that's how they knew about Peter Pan. It wasn't like in a book. It kind of sounded like she was just telling them like a legend.
Making it up?
Or making it up.
Hmm.
And the reason I say that is because everything that she talked about was actually in Neverland.
Right.
And obviously, like, if it was a book, then everything would be there. But
Sure.
if you're saying that, like,
No, sorry, go ahead.
if you're saying, like, Captain Hook was the dad,
Mhm.
then their whole life was based up, like Neverland was based on their life experiences.
Yes.
And
Yes.
their,
You're exactly right. Because
Okay.
in the song, she's a doll dream of a mermaid lagoon,
right,
and there's a mermaid lagoon.
right.
And the little boy wants to go see the Indians, and then there's Indians, and the other one's
Okay.
like, I want to fight the pirates, and there's pirates.
Right.
So they kind of each, Neverland is almost like what they imagined it to be.
Okay.
So that was like their version of Neverland, because they dreamed up these things.
So, like, Peter
When
Pan
they
is the
were with
antithesis
Peter.
of Wendy. Like, him never growing up is, like,
Right.
the opposite of her because...
It's very, the whole movie is extremely metaphorical.
Yeah.
Which I think is
It's
one of
this-
the reasons I really like it.
There's this thing that a bunch of like, if you look on the internet, just on like cartoons in general, there's a bunch of these stories where like, oh well, all of this isn't actually happening. It's like the main character is having a dream, right? It's
That's
like
what Louise
it's
said
like
then.
the Fairly Odd Parents, like well, Cosmo and Wanda aren't actually Timmy's fairy godparents. He's just dreaming all the time.
Oh,
he
heck
has,
no,
he has
they
an,
are his
he has an
godparents.
active imagination. So that's why I don't like it necessarily.
Could
that
be argued
those
for
theories.
Wendy, because she
but-
does wake up
But
on the window
for this
sill.
movie
Yes.
specifically, I think that definitely applies. Like they got fed heavy medicine right before all this started, and then everything that they said happened while they were in Neverland, and then they came back and were perfectly in their bed and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
but they had woken up after that.
Woken up after what?
They woke up from their medicines to pour and then said those things.
Stupor.
And then it happened in Neverland.
Right. Well,
And which it is supposed to be. Neverland is a dreamlike place.
Inception dream.
Yada yada yada. But Neverland is real, and I'm going.
Okay. I'm cool with all that.
Here's a question I had.
Yeah.
Where is Neverland?
Thank you.
Okay, so when they were first flying, second star to the right,
Second star.
straight onto morning.
So,
I was-
in the galaxy?
I was thinking that like, oh, they're going through like a wormhole. They're traveling through a portal
Yeah.
and it's taking them to another dimension or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But then when the Indians show up, I'm like, wait a minute. If this is like another dimension, I mean, if it's another dimension, sure, there could be anything there. But like, did they just fly to America? Is that where?
Because-
Are they just like in the Caribbean on an island or something like that with all these pirates and the Indians and these little boys that are lost?
Maybe that's what people
Because-
from London dream of.
Here's the deal. I know maybe they heard like stories about Indians, like
Yeah.
from like
And
explorers,
pirates.
and they
Mhm.
were like, oh my gosh, like
Right.
they're scary or whatever. And the reason that I agree with you is because whenever they're talking about the Indians in the first place, they call them Algonquin. And
Yeah.
Isn't that
Which is
the,
That's like New York.
but aren't those the Indians that were in Pocahontas?
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like listening, I'm like, hold on, stop.
I think
Hold
it's
on.
because they thought of, I mean, even British people knew who Indians were, so they think of the Americas and this, I mean, I'm not sure what time period this is supposed
It
to
takes
take
place in like the 40s or something like that. It's not like it's.
It's like similar to the time it was made. Well,
True.
isn't it like
Yeah, I mean,
20
when
years?
when you see the parents walking out, there's like street lamps and stuff like that. It's not like it's the 1800s or anything like that. I think it's like early 1900s.
I'm gonna hope the Mayflower already sailed.
Right? Yeah.
Anyways, they know what Indians are, so they thought Indians and pirates and all those kind of people were going to America. So it makes sense that you would think it's America. But I just like to think of it as like, you know, like when they fly in and there's all these rainbows around it, almost making it look like Saturn's rings
Yeah.
around
Sure.
it.
Hmm.
So I always just kind of think of it as like an entirely different planet
Right.
with a star.
It's it's like a Kingdom Hearts
It's a dream
world. It's an
planet.
isolated.
It's like a dream planet.
Yeah.
To me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, it's funny because again, I'm gonna equate it to the ride because that's where my first impression of Peter Pan came from. It feels like that when you're in the ride. Like you go through,
Yes.
you ride through London. You're suspended in the air on your little contained ship, and you go about. And when you go into the room that shows you Neverland, it literally is like almost like a dark portal with like little lights supposed
Right.
to be like
Yeah.
stars. and then Neverland smack in the middle.
For some reason, I associate rainbows with dreams too. I don't know why, just like in my head. So I always kind of think of it as a dreamland. And yeah, we just end up in this world. Boom.
Yeah.
And it makes
How?
sense that, girls thought about being mermaids, and boys were like, I'm gonna be an Indian, I'm gonna be a pirate,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a cowboy, things like that they think of. So it makes sense that would be what they would discover. The only thing that did freak me out about the map is when Captain Hook is like, Mermaid Lagoon, we searched there, nothing. We looked over at Cannabis Cove. What the heck is in Cannabis Cove?
I thought it was
Cannibal Cove. No,
Cannibal.
Oh my god. Cannibal Cove.
Cannibal Cove.
Either way, I know Skull
No,
Rock.
I'm pretty
is in
sure Cannibal Cove was the Indian ground, was it not?
No, because there was a different Indian area. What's in Cannibal Cove? We didn't go there. So
Cannibals, dude.
I'm happy we didn't go
They
there.
eating people over there.
That was just a little intense. It was also a
Why
little.
are kids thinking about cannibals?
I don't know. It was also a little intense when the person on the ship was just having a jolly little sing-sing and Captain Hook just shot him down from into the water.
A jolly little sing
What
sing.
did Sneeze say? He was like,
Hold on, I wrote it down. I wrote it down because it was so
what's
funny.
funny?
I think I wrote it
It says
down
something
too.
about a cadenza.
You should shoot him down in his cadenza.
During his
It's
cadenza.
like shooting a man down in the middle of his cadenza.
Kind of rude, Captain Hook.
I love Smee.
You like Smee? Let's talk about
Smee
Smee.
is the
Here's
best.
the deal. Louis, you need, he's attending to me.
The podcast, baby.
The podcast, baby. But I need you to hear about what Louis thought about Smee before the movie and then after the movie. Because I have never in my life, you know how Louis doesn't like characters?
Yeah.
You know how Louis doesn't like things?
Right.
Louis had feelings about
About
Smee. Goal.
No!
Okay, so I honestly can't remember why I never liked Mr. Smee. And I think it was because of the ride. Or something at Disneyland had involved Mr. Smee. He just looked so Gene-like from Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm pretty sure he called him Mr. Shmee.
Gene-like.
But, Mr. Smee is pretty cool. I like him.
Smee's great, right?
Well, I also think that it might have not helped because he was really annoying once upon a time as well.
That may have been the reason why.
Like, he was
He
awful.
was very awful in Once
He
Upon a
was
Time.
awful on that show. But what do you feel about him
So
now?
was Peter, but
Yes, he was.
He was hilarious. He's like, he's a saving grace if you ask me of Captain Hook.
one of my
He's
favorite
lucky to be, like, Captain Hook's lucky to have him.
Right.
one of my favorite things is where he's like, he doesn't need a good shave. And he shaves it, but then he shaves the seagull's butt. And
He
the
shaves
seagull
the bird's
goes
butt.
away, and he's like, oh, hold on, Captain, let me find your head. Like he wouldn't be dead, Smee. Smee would be dead.
Oh, okay.
genius.
That's another
So,
question that I
Funny.
have. We can come back to Mr. Smee, but is everyone in Neverland invincible?
oh, I thought you were going to say they all dead.
Or that?
That was one of my questions.
Can any of them die? Because, like,
He totally had his head, quote unquote, chopped off. Like, underneath the table, it looked like a guillotine, and he was like, no big deal, we got this.
I think
Right.
Smee's just an idiot for that
well,
reason.
yeah,
But I do
that-
think he can
that's
die
possible.
because they're always threatening to kill him.
They're always threatening to kill, but they never
But maybe
actually
they
do.
actually never die because it's a dream world.
Yeah, that, or it's because of the not being able to age there thing. It could just be that everyone there is everlasting.
Perpetually.
You know?
It's interesting to me because, how the pirates ended it. They talk to Shmee's like, let's just go. We'll sail to Spain or the Spaniard Sea or something like that.
The Spanish Main.
Yeah, he wants to go to the Spanish Main. How the heck did they end up in Neverland?
That was another one of my questions. Why are there adults?
Right.
I think in the
Angry
second
adults.
movie, Captain Hook's, it gets explained because Captain Hook's ship flies and then goes and kidnaps Wendy's daughter or something like that.
That's kind of creepy.
Okay.
Well, and if it is supposed to be the dad, obviously it makes sense that there would be adults and a whole bunch of adulty
Right.
figures.
And they're the bad
Yeah.
guys.
Oh, you mean
Obviously.
Captain Hook gets on the Jolly Rancher?
Jolly Rancher.
The Jolly Roger.
So, oh god, this is really funny. So I hope there's no people listening who are brothers of Theta Chi, even though Luis is a brother of Theta Chi. Anywho, so Luis and I went to the Turlock Christmas parade this year,
Mhm.
and the Brothers of Theta Chi fraternity at CSU San Salatier, they have their own float. and it was Peter Pan themed, and so it was actually one of the coolest floats I've ever seen. Like for a Turlock parade,
Right.
like very well done. You could tell like they constructed it, which the other ones were just like a piece of like a light, a tree, and they're
Sure.
like, "Woo, singing, right?" But the guys looked super cool, and they were holding up that Theta Chi flag, and everything was really cool. Whatever. Well, the announcer guy who was announcing each
Float.
float, he goes, "And now the gentlemen of Theta Chi aboard the Jolly Rancher."
Ridiculous.
And it was so funny because all of the guys were like, "Yeah!" And I was like, "Hold on, the
No,
Jolly
it's-
what?"
The
Jolly
Jolly
Rancher.
Roger.
Like there was even a Peter Pan and a Captain Hook. Like there was no accident.
Right.
Like I mean, they were definitely Peter Pan.
Was any of it candy themed? Did it seem
No.
Jolly Rancher-ish at all?
Because I told Luis, I was like, if they were riding like a Jolly Rancher pirate ship, that would have been funny.
That would have been great.
But no.
But no.
They just messed it up.
They just got the
real
name
bad.
wrong.
And it was hilarious.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Jolly Rancher.
Jolly Roger.
Oh, another one. Now we're speaking about the Jolly Roger. I'm thinking about. Oh, down went the chippies. So we're snacking.
Always snacking.
Always snacking, you
Chippy
guys.
fell. I'm thinking about the scene where Captain Hook is like, Shmi kidnapped Tinkerbell, and
Yes.
Captain Hook is trying to convince Tinkerbell. He's trying to get her jealousy to come out of Wendy so that
Not hard to do.
Oh, man.
By the
she'll
way.
tell him. And then Shmi, while all of this is happening, is just drinking all the rum.
Yes,
Smee
all the
is
rum.
getting
down.
white drunk.
He is messed up.
Don't run because he goes 0 to 60 very
And it's great because
So much
he
rum.
keeps putting the bottle inside of the piano and it's just
And then when he
spilling
takes it out
everywhere.
and he keeps turning it upside down, he like uses his finger as a stopper. It's ridiculous. She is great.
Captain.
Let's
Oh,
talk a little bit.
The voice of Smee is also the voice of the White Rabbit from.
Oh, thank
Alice
you.
in Wonderland.
Because I literally wrote that down. Mr. Smee equals White Rabbit, and they're very similar.
And Wendy
Yeah.
equals Alice in Wonderland.
That's
They're the
true.
Same voice.
Same voice.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because we think about these modern movies where voice actors kind of cross over and are the same. But like that happened with these old movies too. We just don't really know the actors or actresses and nor realize that they kind of crossed over like that.
Right.
Well, that's weird because like the main character is both a main character, like a main character in both movies, and the other one's a
Side character, yeah.
And they came out one after another.
Yeah. Okay, well let's talk a little about Miss Tinkerbell.
Tink Erbell.
Whoa. Whoa.
Tink is
Annoying.
she's feisty. She's a feisty little
Annoying.
gal. And
Why is a fairy in
No,
love
Emma.
with a flying boy? Like, they can't
because
get
Well, he's
together.
definitely the best option
right.
on the island.
In
Like, what
terms
other
of-
option does she have?
In terms of boys, she either has little boys or pirates. Or this one who flies.
It's funny because
Teenage
there's a bunch
flyer.
of new Tinkerbell adaptations, so I never think of her as that sassy or feisty.
Which is so funny because
But
she's always nice.
Yeah,
in
she's
the
always
new
nice
adaptation.
now.
See, I don't think I've seen her in anything else
She's a-
but this.
She is a feisty little fox in this one.
Well, and it's so funny because I've heard so many, not Tinkerbell quotes, obviously, because she doesn't actually talk, but I've heard so many quotes from this movie, so I wasn't really surprised when I heard things, but in context, some of the, like, funnies aren't really funny. Like, they're serious.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, Tink, you were trying to kill her. And she was like,
Mm.
like, she shakes her head like,
That's
no
right.
problem.
She's
Like,
like, yes, I was.
you could have killed her. And she's like, uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm mad that I didn't.
Right? And then the mermaids, we were only trying to drown her.
Right.
Alright, that's so funny.
Which is funny, like, out of context, but when you put it in context, like,
Oh,
dude,
man.
they were trying to straighten
I mean,
her.
they're like classical. This is pre-Little Mermaid mermaids. These are let's lure these men into the sea and
Siren mermaids.
drown them
I
mermaids.
love
Yeah.
those mermaids. They're hilarious.
But yeah,
But they're
Tinkerbell.
super jealous, too. Like, oh, Peter.
They love Peter too.
Well,
Peter is doing very well for himself on this island.
I wouldn't let any other boys grow up.
He's a jerk, too.
Get out of here, you little
When
kids.
they're splashing my knees like, Wendy, they're just trying to have a little fun. I'm like, no, that ain't fun for her.
Well, and I think that's what's so weird for me is that how old is he? Because I feel like a teenager would understand that cutting someone's hand off is not a childish prank.
Yeah.
They call it a childish prank.
True.
They cut off his hand.
He cut off his hand and fed it to a crocodile.
If I was a 14-year-old cutting off someone's hand and they weren't like sending me to like juvie, like not even juvie, I'd be going to like prison.
You know what? I think Peter Pan.
Oh,
He's a little bit of power monger. He loves everything that he's able to do, and he lords it over people.
Oh, he's
With
full of
vigor.
himself. The whole scene where he's trying to save Tiger Lily, and he's like, "Watch this, Wendy," and he's just showing off.
He does
Seeing
do very
Captain
good
Hook's
voices.
voice, showing off, and then at the end,
Mr.
Wendy's like,
Smee.
That's
I know.
hilarious.
And Wendy's like, "What about Tiger Lily?" He's like, "Tiger Lily? Oh yeah,
Oh,
Tiger
yeah,
Lily.
that's right.
I'll go
Oh,
save
is
her."
that what we were here for?
I thought I was just here to show off my Captain Hook voices, and he just thought it was so
Fighting.
fun. And Wendy's like, "Fun? This is fun." Hilarious. I love Peter Pan though.
Oh, he's quite hilarious, and I really did enjoy this movie. I feel like I want to know more.
Right.
Like I want to
About
know
Peter Pan.
why it is how it is.
I like to think of him as a 13-year-old, right?
Yeah.
He's 13, but he's been alive for like 200 or 300 years, something like that, right? So he's a 13-year-old, and he can't get out of that adolescent mode of thinking, but he's also has the wisdom of being alive for that long.
Yeah.
So he's the
So he's
ruler of this
experienced.
entire land. He flies like crazy. He fights with a tiny, itty bitty knife and destroys.
He doesn't even need
destroys
to fly.
pirates.
That's what cracks me up too, is that he's such a trickster and all this stuff. But you know, at the end, he was like, "You have my word that he won't fly to get away from Hook and doesn't want to get destroyed."
Right.
So
Yeah.
Peter.
He's arrogant.
But he has a dope house.
His treehouse is
His
very cool.
treehouse is legit. You didn't think it was cool? Emily's giving me eyeballs.
No.
Oh,
When are they in the treehouse?
what?
The treehouse where the Lost
tree,
Boys
the
live.
tree that they live in.
Oh, that was a tree.
Yeah, it's like a tree, and
The
then
tree trunk.
they've
it
like
goes underground.
they've like dug underground.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
a bunch
when
of
you
paths.
say tree house, I think of
Oh.
the tree in the sky
Right.
in a house.
That makes more sense.
No,
I'm
it's
totally
It's a tree trunk
Okay,
that goes
you're
down
very
into
right.
the house.
yes.
Which I think is very
Dope
cool.
tree
house.
roots.
Yes. I like it, and all the cute little Lost Boys live there. My favorite Lost Boy is the one that's like irrelevant and doesn't even do much or say nothing. Is the little tiny skunk.
The skunk. Skunk has no lines.
And I love Skunk. He's so cute.
You know who's cute and has no lines?
Who?
The bear.
The bear.
The bear.
Michael's bear.
Oh, Michael's bear.
How they
And
put
when
it
they-
in the string, like when the
When they
Indians go and
capture
get them.
him.
It's got like a little news thing on it. It's like, oh, look at the bear's gonna do this.
I like it when they're
Poor
when they're
bear.
following the leader and there's a real live bear and he's looking at all of them and then he sees the little teddy bear. He's like, oh, well, okay, I guess they're fine.
Too cute. But you know another thing that made it hard for me to watch this. Not again, I liked it, but I think I've seen the movie Hook.
Yes.
What is it called? Hook?
It's called Hook.
Robin Williams.
Yes.
Yes,
Now I'm
Robin
gonna
Williams.
cry. You know how you cried about what
Don't
his face.
say his name.
All right.
Yeah,
Everybody's
I love
crying.
Robin Williams. He's my favorite actor.
So I have seen Hook many times.
Hook
and
is very good.
I feel like I watched that like obviously way more than Peter Pan,
Mhm.
but so everything that I was watching was equating it back to
Mhm.
this movie, and they actually did a really good job. Like they're like,
Of like keeping them. I consider Hook like a sequel to Peter Pan.
oh
Basically.
yeah,
Mhm.
it totally makes sense in the whole storyline. It could be a sequel,
Mhm.
just live action. And when do they do good live actions like that? Not
Right.
very often.
I concur with your statement, Andre. Definitely a sequel.
Thank you,
Thank
Luis.
you. But it's funny because going through and watching The Lost Boys, I was waiting for Rufio. Is his name Rufio?
Rufio. Oh.
I was waiting for his character.
Right, to show
And
up.
I was like, where's Rufio? And FYI, there's no Rufio.
There's no Rufio
No, Rufio.
in classic Peter Pan.
Which-
Rufio is an original character for Hook.
Which I appreciate though, because he was such a like just fantastically sassy
Yeah.
character. He was Peter Pan, like he was
The
Peter
successor.
Pan's progeny. Yeah.
Mhm, exactly.
So that was cool, but I was looking for him the whole time. I was like, where is he? He's gonna pop out. Where's he at?
Where's little
I
Rufio
like the
at?
little
Hey,
boys on this one though. There's like the little fat boy, and then there's the twins.
His
The
voice,
twins
the
are
twins are my favorite because they just
Say
say
the
they
same
parrot each other all the time. I
They're
can't
always beating
remember.
each other up.
I may or may not have twin people in my family, and they may or may not do that as full-grown adults. So I may or may not have thought that was cute.
Okay, may or may not. Interesting.
Not so cute as grown.
Okay. Good
So
to know.
Andre, you made the comment that you really liked Nana.
Yes.
But who was better, Nana or the crocodile?
Oh.
Because the crocodile was funny too, when he just like breaks the fourth wall and straight looks at the camera and licks his lips all the time.
This is an unofficial battle, but I think I still love Nana more because Nana's a very capable dog.
I love that.
She's so good.
I did not think of her as a dog.
Her little wave when she waves, oh my God, Nana! Don't leave Nana behind. Let Nana come. I read that in an original version that they wrote Nana in so that she did come with the boys and Wendy to Neverland, but it also had a much darker ending and it didn't elaborate. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what happened to Nana.
When he Michael drops or stuff like shakes Tink out over Nana.
Yeah.
And she's tied to the tree and she starts floating and I think to myself like she better end up coming with them. She didn't get
right. Just stuck in the air.
Killed in the air and then pulled away with them. Anywho, so I don't know how she got down, but I was really worried the whole time. I didn't want them to come back to a dead dog.
Oh no, Nana.
I know, Nana. But the crocodile was not even evil. Like
right.
Not even evil.
I want that crocodile.
First of all, he's only trying to kill the bad guy.
And he's really, really bad at it. Because
he's totally Nana. He is Nana in that world.
Oh. He's
Yeah.
the analogy to Nana.
Yeah,
But the
Nana-
clock
Nana's
is like
Because-
they need to leave.
and he has
they need to leave to go to the party.
Right, and he has a relationship with the Captain Hook father.
Say
Mm.
what now? Yeah, because Nana's mad that she got put outside.
But seriously, the crocodile, not even a bad character.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Fabulous, he could be a sheep. We don't even know.
True.
I don't even know if they call him a him. But fabulous character. I love the all of the physical comedy that happens between Hook and the crocodile. How he's like in its mouth.
Hook gets eaten by the crocodile several times in the movie. Like, into the throat.
He walks
And then
all
back
the way
out.
Back of it.
Yes.
Goes all the way back, takes out the clock, and runs all the way back.
And then throws the clock back in.
So funny. I love that.
Oh, good
I love
for Hook.
I love
how
how the crocodile's tail ticks and talks along with the clock. That's the best part about the crocodile.
I love the crocodile. I don't know why.
Speaking of the crocodile, is he also Louis?
From Princess
From
of the
Princess
Frog.
of the Frog? Because I'm pretty sure it's the exact
They look exactly the same.
They're probably, modeled very similarly, although I don't remember reading that.
I didn't read that anywhere, but I don't know how they're not the exact same, like...
They do look extremely similar.
Right.
So he just hung out in the swamp for, like, he fell out of Neverland, hung out in the swamp for a couple hundred years, and then just
And started
Learned how
learning
to-
the trumpet,
learned how to get on a riverboat, terrorize some
Oh
hooks.
man. This is super random, but in the original Fantasmic, they used to have the pirate ship scene where Pan was fighting Hook,
And it was
and at the end it would have the little crocodile float, and its tail would go back and forth, and it was like going after the pirate ship.
Mhm.
I missed that float.
it was
I mean, I do like the new, Pirates of the Caribbean
Sure.
Fantasmic, but I missed that one because you could see the crocodile wiggling its tail.
I wish you could see Michelle wiggling her tail.
She's wiggling.
She's doing the floating.
I'm looking at pictures of Louis and the crocodile from Peter Pan, and the only difference really is that Louis is chubby.
Way fatter and like a slightly different color.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, he's older and fatter. You get more yellow as you get older.
Now he wants to be a human being
He has
instead
a-
of eating human
Right.
beings.
He's got a jollier disposition.
Yeah.
He has the same teeth and everything.
He probably ate Captain Hook, and that alleviated some of his
Probably,
anger,
right? Now he wants to.
Now he's just trying to play jazz.
I'm about it.
Trying to play
Speaking of that, I like that you brought up Peter Pan versus Pirates of the Caribbean because that leads us into
Dun 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 battle.
Well, we got this week, Lou.
All right, ladies and gents, for this week, who's more outlandishly dramatic? Captain Hook or Captain Jack Sparrow?
Captain.
Jack Sparrow. Oh, who's
Outlandishly
more outlandishly
dramatic.
Well, they're both. Like the part where Captain's like, give me my best coat. And he like puts on his coat and he has a giant feather coming out of his hat.
And then he
Come on.
goes, bring me my hooks, and he has several golden
Yes,
hooks.
he does.
One of them is straight up just a knife. I didn't see what the rest of them were, but he definitely just has a knife. And then
Why doesn't he use that one?
right, you would
I
think
don't know.
if he had a
What's his name,
sword
Hook?
and a knife, he would be faring better. But he puts on his golden hook, and then he puts on a gigantic ruby onto
the outrage.
onto the hook.
But
Outlandishly
in
dramatic.
Captain Jack Sparrow's defense, he also really likes jewels and shiny things.
Yeah,
That kind of reminded me of Barbosa.
but he doesn't
Very
have.
dramatic too. Yeah, kind of, right?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, Jack Sparrow. He's definitely outlandishly dramatic, but like he does it.
Just the way he walks.
Well, yeah, just the way he walks. But yeah, he does it without as much flair, you know, because he
That's true.
doesn't have all of the money and crew even that Captain Hook has. You know,
Which I
Captain
don't know how, but
Captain Hook
yeah.
actually has a lot of respect from his pirate crew, whereas Jack Sparrow is always fighting to.
He has respect only in the fact that they respect him enough to not mutiny him because he is acting a fool. They all want to leave.
That's true.
They all are like, please, let me go.
Yeah, I agree. I was that first scene. I am thoroughly surprised they didn't just like kill.
They can walk the plank.
Yeah, that's true.
But they must have respect for him if they were just like going along with this crazy.
Yeah, you know, they did
Yeah.
everything that he said. for the
I'm gonna
most-
go with Captain
part.
Hook on this one.
Captain Hook more outlandishly dramatic
I think so.
than Jack Sparrow.
Especially with his little screams and stuff like that. Or when the crowd comes in, he's just straight up shaking, like his knees are knocking. He's like, "Whoa!"
You hear that's me.
Well, I think that that's really interesting because for me, I was waiting. Well, it's funny because the whole time I was watching the movie, I was thinking to myself, a lot of the things that they say and a lot of the things, like violence-wise, that they talk about in the movie, they would not put in the movie today.
Right.
Like, they would not say, like, you tried to kill her. Like
Exactly.
they're not going to say that in our movies today for kids. And they're not going to, like, show a news, so they're not going to show, like, these different things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, nobody in this movie was really that evil.
Yeah.
Like, who was that bad?
Like-
Captain Hook wasn't even that bad.
He's honestly just getting revenge for his hand that got cut off.
Like, I'd be pretty freaking mad, too,
Yeah.
if someone be chopping off my hand.
And feeding it to crocodiles that chase me.
Because of that.
Honestly, Tinkerbell's probably the most evil because she legit tried to kill Wendy Bird.
She's a bird. Let's shoot her down. Give her everything you got. A Wendy bird.
Yeah. What's
She
your
was flapping pretty hard.
vote? What's
flapping.
your vote for though?
Oh,
Captain Jack or Jack? Or
I'm trying to think,
Captain
like-
Hook or Captain Jack?
I'm trying to think of their both of their most outlandishly dramatic moments. And like I'm thinking of when Captain Hook is he's
I'm just laughing at everything.
he's all sick and he's all droopy and dreary. He's got the bag over his head. He's got his feet in the water, and then Shmi is pouring in the hot water, and he busts out of it because it's too hot. That's pretty outlandishly dramatic. And
Yeah.
then Jack Sparrow, you know, it's difficult because Jack Sparrow, we have a lot more material with him
Oh, yeah.
of him being
Because I think of
dramatic.
him over different movies, like different periods of him being
Yeah,
dramatic.
like just the whole scene in, I think it's the second Pirates movie where he's about to be eaten by the cannibals, right? Is that what's happening?
Oh, yeah.
And he's like tied up to the pole on his back, and he's wandering around and he's pretending to be a god and stuff like that. Oh my god,
Very dramatic.
dramatic. So I
Or
think
in the last one, it's not even a spoiler, it was in the commercial, but like, he gets drunk, ends up with like the dude, like the mayor's wife,
That's
inside
right.
of like
a bank vault.
bank,
And then
And-
steals
Walt
all the
vault.
gold.
and then steals all the gold, but it has no gold in it. It's so dramatic.
He's like riding on top of it and stuff like that. Yeah.
But like you're saying, we have multiple movies worth of dramatism.
Yeah. So I think just because there's more of him, I'm gonna go with Captain Jack Sparrow.
I'm going with Hook because he's got a flair for the dramatic.
Yeah. He definitely has
What are you
flair.
going with?
I'm gonna say personality, like straight personality. I'm gonna say Captain Hook, only because I think that a lot of Captain Jack's comes from being out in the sun too long and too much rum. I'm pretty sure that he
Out in the sun too long,
talks
like he's a raisin.
all the time. Like he doesn't know what's happening. So I'm gonna say his mental state is maybe not as
As stable as
As stable as Captain
as
Hook.
Captain Hook.
So Captain Hook is
Good
just
point.
more personality,
Yeah,
overtly dramatic.
right. That's
Louis,
true.
what do you think?
I'm gonna go with Captain Jack Sparrow. Yes, we do have a lot of screen time with him, but Captain Jack Sparrow is just the bomb.
The bomb.
The bomb.
And for Louise, what was it? Outlandishly dramatic is the bomb. So
The
there
bomb.
you go.
Dun dun
Yay,
dun
we
dun
got
dun
a
dun dun.
tie.
That was a battle.
All right, so I'd like to go into some fun facts.
Ooh yay.
So first, as
She
I
has some good fun facts.
build up into this fun fact, kind of the main line of this movie is to never grow up. You know, really don't lose your childlike spirit or take life too seriously. That's kind of what I take away from it, and always the scene at the end where the dad sees the boat and they're, watching Peter Pan go away. I always kind of tear up. I'm weird like that.
I
Like,
shouldn't be mad at my kids for having imagination.
that like little magical feeling, which I get like when I go to Disneyland and stuff. Which is funny because when Walt Disney was a young boy, he saw a touring production of Peter Pan, and then he landed the title role himself.
Yep.
Which is
that
funny
as
because
well.
I think of Walt Disney as almost having that Peter Pan like spirit, like never grow up. I created this place where even adults can be kids, and it's
Sure.
magical and all that stuff, which is awesome. I super love that.
Which
But
is-
it's also cool because usually Peter Pan's played by girls, so
Right.
Go Walt.
This
Go Walt
movie
Disney.
this movie is actually the first time that in a film Peter Pan is played by a man.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the voice. Yeah.
Mhm.
Speaking of them, well, I'll get into my other facts.
Yes.
No, this
So-
fact is good. Go for it, Michelle.
It's good, but it's kind of spicy, but I'll tell you pretty broad anyway.
What is the accent?
Hold on, I'm trying to get. Okay,
She's hiding her accent.
it says, sadly, the boy who voiced Peter Pan fell victim to the child actor curse. As Bobby Driscoll, so he's the voice of Peter Pan, got older, the role seemed to dry up and he turned to drugs.
Oh.
After a prison stay in the early 60s, Driscoll became part of Andy Warhol's factory scene.
Oh
He
no.
died of heart failure in 1968 at the age of 31.
Oh, really?
Poor Peter.
Heart failure
At
at
the
the
age of 31.
31. Wait, hang on. I'm gonna figure out
Andy Warhol.
how old he was
Yeah.
when he played Peter Pan. He was 16. Okay. Wow. He
Well,
was 16 when he played Peter Pan, and he died at 31. Goodness gracious.
child actor curse, apparently.
Should have went to Neverland.
Crazy. on
Should
another
have stayed in
Yeah,
Neverland.
it should have stayed in Neverland. Okay, so this is kind of a weird fun fact. So the author of Peter Pan is J.M. Barrie.
Mhm.
He left the rights of Peter Pan when he died to the Great Ormond Street Hospital. So Disney had to actually make a deal with this hospital to give them exclusively the animation rights.
There's
So
a-
that-
There's a credit for that
Yeah,
in the very
yeah,
beginning
in
of the movie.
I didn't understand it.
So-
Me
It's about
neither.
sick children.
they own the rights to Peter Pan. So Disney had to make a deal with them to get the animation rights. But that doesn't include anything, so merchandise, DVDs, toys, all of that is not part of the contract. So it says that Disney, when they partnered with them, they have raised more than $14.5 million towards the hospital's vital redevelopment program.
All
for the children.
from funds from
From the movie.
the movie.
I was really
Wow.
surprised
That's
because
crazy, right?
when I saw that credit, because I mean, again, this movie was made in the 50s, and if you've seen older movies, they have very long credit scenes where they give all of their acknowledgments up front,
Yeah.
which is actually kind of cool because they always have nice like
Animation behind it.
they have
and,
animation,
like
they have really pretty
backgrounds.
music and stuff.
They got the choir going.
Yeah, I felt like we were rocking.
The second star to the right, shine tonight for you.
Fun fact, that song was originally supposed to be in Alice in Wonderland.
What?
Yep.
What stars are in Alice in Wonderland?
That song. It says, the second star to the right was originally written for Alice in Wonderland. At the time, it was called Beyond the Laughing Sky.
Oh.
Thank the Lord
Interesting.
that it's the second star to the not.
Right.
Point being though, when you're watching the credits, you see something like, and thank you to the sick children of hospital blah blah blah.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
like, what is that?
yeah.
So,
I mean,
that hospital owns the rights to Peter Pan. Insane. An author would just like this story. He's like, okay, I leave it in my will to this hospital. I'm sure there was some relation
How interesting.
between it, which I'm not sure what exactly it is, but
Trying to find out if they still have the rights to it, but it's.
You feel like they might not, just because there's so much like Peter Pan interwoven into Disneyland.
Yeah.
And all the different.
Like, and most of the time, because the book was written in 1904, and most of the time, when a property exists for over 100 years, that's when it reverts into the public domain. So it wouldn't necessarily be owned by any one entity anymore. But the thing with that is that like Mickey Mouse, he's very nearing his 100-year mark, and I kind of doubt that Disney is going to let him go, so that they're going to reinvent him to keep the rights to Mickey Mouse and all that kind of stuff.
Even though he is public in our hearts. But
right.
The Walt Vault will be public domain in 2117. So if you guys can hold on.
Hold on, you guys. you soon will have access to all of the Walt Vault in the public domain.
Have access to. You're welcome. In a public domain.
Yes. Oh man.
I have one more fun fact.
Yes, hit me with it.
Tinker Bell.
I like the way you say it. Hold on, say it again.
Tinker Bell. Rings like bells. I would like you guys to take a guess as to what are the people who make sounds for movies called?
They do Foley. They're Foley artists.
Foley artists. Guess what the Foley artists used to make the sound of Tinker Bell?
A triangle.
No.
Shut up.
What do you think it was?
I don't know, like a jingle
Hold on,
bell.
can you reread what the original thing he said? I was still stuck on
Tinker Bell.
Tinker Bell.
Tinker Bell.
She
When
doesn't talk. She
Right.
makes sounds.
She makes
like
sounds,
jingles.
and
Yeah.
she jingles.
What object did the Foley artist use to make that sound? The
Oh.
sounds of Tinker Bell.
Okay, so
Glass
if
with water.
it's Foley,
Louis said glass with water. He is wrong.
I'm gonna say
Like circling around the glass?
I'm gonna
Wrong.
say 56 paper clips in a jar,
No.
just shaking them around.
Hint, it's not a bell. That's why it's not Tinker
I
Bell.
said it's 56 paper clips.
You're wrong. What is it?
Well, I was gonna say jingle bells, but since you said it wasn't a bell, then
Not a bell.
I get another choice.
Okay.
Is it jingle bells?
No. Jingle Bell.
Hold on. Now I'm trying to think of what it sounds like. I can't think.
It's like a very high pitch, like.
Yeah, it is like a bell. You're lying.
Not a bell. You guys want to know?
Keys jingling.
No.
And another key.
No.
And another key.
Filmmakers actually cut up pieces of aluminum and strung them together and just did this. Jangle, jangle, jangle.
So I actually went.
Pieces of aluminum.
So like they were on a key ring idea, like
They strung them up.
They
and
strung
put them
them.
together.
Mm.
So Andre was actually closer with.
That was pretty close.
Aluminum paper clips.
Yeah,
They
Paper
were
clips in
paper
a
clips
jar.
though. They were just pieces of aluminum. So
Whatever.
you were wrong.
Unfolded.
Yeah,
pieces
exactly.
of
You
aluminum.
fold them
How dare
suckers
you.
up into paper
How
clips. Boom.
All right, I'll
And
get
I
out.
wasn't 56, so.
I'll give you two options, Andre. This is your opportunity if you want to talk about it or not.
Oh.
Are we gonna talk about the Indians or are we gonna go straight into music?
Well, we can talk about the music. We don't have to. The Indians. It is not a good representation of
I will
Indians
say,
in this
It's
movie.
a
For
worse
the song.
representation than in Pocahontas.
Right.
So let's say that.
Well, I was more talking about the song, but the funny part of the song is that.
What makes a red man red?
Oh,
Yeah, no, that just didn't even make it into my memory.
But I did like why the red man said because he saw his mother-in-law. That was funny.
Oh yeah, that was.
What does he say?
It, like
He's
there's.
like, why did?
You know what,
the
sing it,
man
just what
say
does he say?
ugh? It was because he saw his mother-in-law, so he went ugh.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, there was like a guy, and he was like trying to get with an Indian girl.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
Okay.
like, the ugly old
that was
lady
the only
came
funny
in.
part about the Indians.
Yeah. So I was thinking like, it's nice that they did Pocahontas, but I still don't think Pocahontas like makes up for the kind of like horrible representation of Native Americans in this movie.
See my eyebrows.
And
They're real high.
And I kind of want Disney to like make a new Native American movie, you know, like something like, you know, Moana or like Coco even, you know, that represents Native Americans a little bit better. I have no idea what it would be
Because
because
unfortunately, you know,
their
the United
history has
States
been-
hasn't
yeah.
represented Native Americans very well either.
exactly. So it'd be kind of nice, you know, for them to do something like that. That's just an idea, you know.
Addie agrees if you couldn't hear
Do
her.
it.
yelling.
Bob Iger, I know you're listening, so if you could just,
Hey,
hook
Bob
it up.
Iger, look it up one time.
Okay.
Hashtag the Walt Vault at the end of the credits.
Speaking of the vault, I think it's very important that we talk about how I watched this movie
Yes.
How did you watch this movie?
on the internet,
Like literally on your laptop?
on my phone.
Well, the movie's in the vault. I'm sorry.
The movie
Okay,
is
so
in
speaking
the
of
vault.
Try to watch this movie on Disney Movies Anywhere or Movies Anywhere. Try to find it on, you can't find it anywhere. It'll show you like a nice little picture and give you a little synopsis. No, you cannot
You can't
get
watch
it because it's in the vault.
It's in the
So
vault.
I think it's very aptly named that we are calling it the vault because when it is closed, man, it
That
is
vault is closed.
It's closed.
Yeah.
Don't try to get it
That stuff
because
is-
I think Cinderella's in the vault right now too. I remember when they took it out of the vault for like its anniversary, and my mom was like, "Oh, Cinderella!" I'm pretty sure it's that in there. Yeah.
well, it's real serious. They got the lockdown, so it was either between watching like a Spanish version, a Portuguese version, like
That would have been fun.
a Chinese version, and it was like all inverted, like the entire like screen was the other
We
way.
need to get you guys our streaming thing that was streamed on.
We have it just.
No, we have it, but anywho, the internet.
The internet.
The internet.
I know. I definitely only own this movie like on VHS, like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
from
Yeah.
ages ago, and it's very extremely.
I don't even know if I own it on
They
VHS.
Well, you
actually-
had never seen it before, so
Have
probably
you-
not.
Well, I had Bambi on VHS, and it was
Okay.
still in the
So
wrapper.
all of those old classics, like the VHS covers, were all the same, but they were like all different movies. And at the Disney store right now, they have journals that are like the VHS movie covers. And then there was an Aristocats one, and I almost got it for you, but I didn't.
Mm.
Well, just so you guys know, if it doesn't come up before March, my birthday's in March, and we will be watching some Arista Kitties.
Ooh,
End
yeah.
this podcast now and go buy that machine.
Our birthday's coming up soon. Don't worry about it.
Ooh, birthdays.
I love the Arista.
In
I
regard
can't wait.
to music,
Yes, let's talk about the music.
this movie, it has that classic magical Disney music feel. Like when
I'm
the
so into it. Oh,
there's nothing better than the Peter Pan.
There's
Oh,
nothing
where
better
they're
than
like-
watching you. sing
And
that.
even just the background music for the crocodile. Do 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 do.
Wait a minute.
Okay, I'll
That
stop.
kind of sounded like the Figaro song from Chicago.
No.
Figaro.
The
Which
that,
one is that?
Figaro,
I don't know.
Chicago.
The movie Chicago.
I love the movie Chicago. I don't know what
The
you're
one with
talking
Selma
about.
Hayek, the one she sings. The beat sounded like that.
You're saying it sounds like the Saltwalk Tango?
He had it coming. He had it coming.
Oh my god.
He always had it.
And
Da, da,
shot
da.
him.
Dude, that works. I don't know, guys. Maybe she's on to something. Anyways, my point is that when you watch these old
Well, now that
classic
song's stuck in my head.
Disney movies, they have that background choir, and the sound just sounds old. Like, I don't know how to describe it.
In
It
that
sounds,
exact way.
and everything is very, very high pitched, like.
But you don't like Snow White.
I do like Snow White.
I thought you didn't like her voice. And her
Oh, I
high pitch.
hate her voice.
Well, her voice is, it's
God awful. But,
But it's
Being
high
like-
pitched and
but the choir is what I'm talking
Yes.
about. Like that background. We're not wishing on
the problem is that he sounds like her.
Oh my god. Every time we go to Disneyland and we walk by the Snow White wishing well, he starts doing that and I have to run away because it's embarrassing.
You know, a couple episodes ago, I said that Andre's falsetto was very nice. I have retracted
Oh,
my.
that was my Snow White falsetto. That's different. That's
Shut up.
different.
No, you got it.
But even, anyways, if you've ever heard the You Can Fly song, like, on a Pandora station, it's funny because it starts with the dialogue, like, leading up into the song. So as soon as we got to that dialogue, I, like, started talking it and saying everything. I love that song, too. How do you guys feel about the music? I love the music.
I absolutely love the You Can Fly song because flight is my favorite superpower on Earth. I love flying. That's like 90% of why I love this movie is just because Peter Pan can fly, and flying is so cool.
I'll tell you a secret.
I want Tinkerbell to be my best friend so bad so I can get powdered with pixie
All
dust.
it takes is faith, trust, and pixie dust.
I don't have any pixie dust. I got faith. I got trust. Where's the pixie dust
Do
at?
we have faith?
Help
Do
me.
we have trust? You need that pixie dust.
What's happening?
What?
I don't know.
Michelle turned into a gospel pastor, and
That's what it reminds me of sometimes.
She
You
went
gotta have
to
faith.
church once. That's what happened.
You gotta have faith. You gotta have trust. I'm like, just have some pixie dust. It's not even fair.
anyway,
I'm scared.
she put her mic down and she said that. Dropped it.
You made me snort into the mic. Okay, I'm done. Oh.
But yeah, I love flying, and it's very cool when they're doing it. And I like the way that Peter flies, because it's not like a Superman fly. He's kind of like dancing through the air.
It's
Yeah.
almost like a leaf or a.
Right, like a leaf.
He floats almost.
Mhm.
Yeah, completely opposite of the way Wendy flies.
She straight up flaps like a bird.
Flapping.
Apparently,
Wendy Bird.
the actress, who's her name, Catherine Beaumont, who played Wendy, she also did like the they filmed the actress
Mhm.
to
Yeah, they
to
did
get
kind of a
all
live
to get all the
action.
animation, and she actually had to flap her arms like that too.
Hilarious.
Well, that's why it looks so realistic. and sad. That's how I would try to fly, I'm sure.
I
Good
just
stuff.
love the music.
Yes.
I enjoyed the music too because I agree with you. I think that over time in movie making, we've lost some of the beauty of choral singing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's very
Which
true.
I get that some people don't dig it, but coming from a choral background, that's
The
like
Disney movies more nowadays are getting more like a Broadway style.
very much
Right.
so.
You know.
And I think it's because that's more fantastic. Like
Mhm.
it's more appealing or eye catching.
It's more cinematic.
Yes. But there's something so beautiful about having a choir of people and really having a full sound
Yeah.
It's
versus it
beautiful.
just being one person with a full
And it's
voice.
almost a nostalgia thing. Like I feel like I'm at Disneyland, like during those songs and things like that. I really like it.
Well, and two, I think about other movies from the time period, and almost every other movie started with
Cinderella,
a very
like that.
well, not
yeah.
even Disney, just movies
Oh,
of
Just
the
movies.
time
Yeah,
period,
that's true.
started like that, and it kind of like you said, it takes you back to like a simpler time.
Yeah.
And kind of like it almost makes it more realistic to be that whimsical. So that even like I was saying, I have all these questions about Neverland and Peter Pan and everything, but it makes it like I can believe it because it was a simpler
Yeah.
time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
Like if it was now, I'd be like, hold on, you
Even-
left some gaps in
Wait
the
a minute.
story.
Well, even I feel like songs nowadays a lot kind of move on the storyline
Yes.
more per se. And if you think about like the Your Mother song from this movie, it doesn't necessarily like move the plot along or anything like that, but it's a beautiful song. You get her angelic voice of Wendy, who sounds like a 30-year-old there, but you
Makes
know,
you think about your mom, for sure.
Well, and that's
they
true
make me
too.
think about my mom.
You could take the music out, and you wouldn't lose the storyline.
True.
Mhm.
But I think that
But it
accentuates
accentuates
it.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love the music.
We know you said it. Michelle is so happy right
Michelle
now.
loves
Yeah.
the music.
I'm also happy because I'm eating chips, which apparently Emily, whenever she makes salsa, there's a giant bowl of salsa in front of me, which basically I devoured during this entire podcast. But Emily puts a block of cream cheese and then the salsa on top. It's delicious.
It's white people magic.
Yum.
This segment brought to you by #always snacking.
Hashtag
#always snacking. Bringing you snacks.
You know, there's a shirt
Always.
at Disneyland that I saw, and it says "Always Snacking," and it has like a Dole Whip, a Mickey ice cream, a turkey leg. I'm gonna have to buy it next time.
I think we need to get those made. And we
Yeah.
just look like Michelle's drawn face next to it.
Oh,
Always
wait.
snacking.
Would you guys buy a shirt that says #Always Snacking?
Michelle's
No, don't put my face on.
Well, we'll put her face like on the tag, like real small, but close.
Yes.
#always snacking.
Yeah, #Always
Yes.
Snacking.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Her face is not a hashtag, Louise.
No, it's not. a
Hashtag Michelle's face. All right. So is it time for our ratings?
I think so, but I kind of
Rating.
before I get
Oh, no.
Oh, it's not time for
I wrote
ratings.
something down at the top of the page so I wouldn't forget, and it was
and she
covered.
forgot. What is it?
This line happened, and I had to write it down.
Okay.
A jealous female can be tricked into anything.
Oh,
Hook, it's so funny because he is well, yes, It's very sexist. This movie doesn't treat women great. You know, it's like Wendy has to take care of these little boys, and then all the
I wouldn't want to be Wendy.
Right, yeah.
Tink is portrayed as not nice.
yeah, all that stuff. Captain Hook is basically like a nincompoop for most of this movie, a complete nincompoop. But then when he has his idea to capture Tink, he does a very good job of like manipulating her
Yes, very manipulative.
He's very smart.
to give it up Wendy's location.
It's funny because I never think of Captain Hook as necessarily one of my favorite villains, but after rewatching this movie, he's up there. Like he's holding his own weight. He's doing
But like I said,
a good
I
job.
don't think of him as a villain.
He's
Right.
just well, I was gonna say flamboyant.
He's
but
just,
He's
yeah,
he's
he's
a
just,
Yeah.
dramatic person.
he's just misunderstood.
I lost my hand
Oh,
and there's a
villains
crocodile and this
misunderstood.
little boy won't stop feeding me up.
Evil. Like Ursula, she's
Dark,
understood and evil. Okay? No, she's understood. We know what's going on there. Like,
Right.
she
Yeah.
full of
He just
fish
really
feet.
wants vengeance against Peter Pan for cutting off his name. I
Yeah.
don't blame him. If you just woke up one day and a little boy chopped off your hand, he'd be mad too.
A jealous
I wouldn't be-
female can be tricked into anything. I'm just gonna leave that there to simmer.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Boom.
What does this have? I like kind of want to know. It's Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb before we give our ratings. I know we always do it after though.
Well, we can do it now. That's fine.
I think we've done it before.
Yeah, we've done it before.
Okay, I want to know it.
Ratings. All right. So on Rotten Tomatoes, Peter Pan has a 76%, which is,
Decent.
pretty
Okay.
good.
It's certified fresh.
Especially,
still.
yeah, certified fresh. Especially for a movie that's, 60 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good
What
score.
about IMDb?
It has a 7.3 on IMDb, and I thought I had a Metacritic score, but I guess
Well, that's pretty like at least they're similar.
If you think about for
There's been
now,
other-
I mean that means it's holding up its weight. I would say. Like, you
So
know,
I have a question about these scores. I mean, I know that we're going to continue to use them, but do they fluctuate with time?
I don't think so, because I think, well, it depends. So, like, a movie like this, that's super old, pre-Rotten Tomatoes movie.
Is it? Pre-internet?
Pre-internet movie. Its tomato meter score is based on the critics' ratings of the time.
Okay.
So it aggregates all of those scores and then puts them into
So
the
it's
tomato
true.
meter.
it's critics score.
It's critics
Okay.
score. So it has an audience
So they'll do a
score.
critics and an audience score next to it.
Yes.
What's the audience?
The audience score is 80%, and so that will fluctuate with
That
time
Right.
because
fluctuates
right,
based
people
on
will go
reviews
on and
people leave.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
So at the time, it got a 7.6?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Here, it's
I'm
critic.
surprised.
It says here on Rotten Tomatoes, says critics' consensus. Though it doesn't delve deeply into the darkness of J.M. Barrie's tale, Peter Pan is a heartwarming, exuberant film with some great tunes. So that's like the tiny little.
That is like they skimmed over and was just like, I watched the.
It's got some good tunes.
Some tunes. I've never used the word tunes for this
I'm
movie.
interested though because I know like this movie made about $40 million when it came out. It had a $4 million budget, which Roy Disney was not happy about, and Walt and Roy actually thought about it because he didn't think the movie would be successful. But it was re-released in the 1980s, and then it made like another $48 million. So it's not like it's. I wonder like if the ratings when it got re-released were higher necessarily than when it first came out. That'd be kind of interesting. to
Possibly.
see for me.
I'm not sure.
And then considering the second movie came out in 2002. Crazy.
I didn't even know there was a Peter Pan 2.
I remember it kinda. I gotta rewatch it.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that when I was watching on the internet this movie, I realized about 5 minutes in that I was not watching Peter Pan 1. I was watching Peter Pan 2.
Well, I'm sure you know the
Because
difference.
Wendy was, I was like, wow, the animation looks great. And I was thinking like,
Oh, they remastered
they
this.
remastered this on another level. Like, and then I thought, you know what? This is obviously not right because Wendy just turned into an adult. Okay, let's find another version.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, first time viewer.
That's
hey.
All right.
All right, so let's give
What is
our
your
ratings.
rating, Andre?
My rating for Peter Pan.
Don't look at us. Give your own rating.
Yeah, no, I guess I gotta think of it. I'm gonna give this movie an 8, a solid 8. It's good, not great.
It holds up well.
It holds up very well. It's very funny. It's a lot funnier than I remember it
Very
being.
funny.
That those Indian scenes though, they're bringing the score.
I just
Bringing the score
I
down.
honestly ignore that part. Like
Bringing the
when I
score
think
down.
about how much I like Peter Pan, I kind of like even forget about that. I'm like, that didn't happen. I mean, Tiger Lily, I remember, but the rest of it, I'm like,
Yeah, you're just trying to erase history, Michelle. I see you over there.
Erasing important things.
that's not what I was trying to say. That
Just
far.
like the textbook.
Just like the text.
Whatever.
Mm,
Luke, what's your rating? Shaking your head.
46%.
What in the world was that for Michelle?
4.6.
I'm gonna give it a
7.
Are you gonna give us any reasons, or was that just
Nope. He
Mic
drop?
put the mic
He's
down.
legitimately-
I'll have you know right now.
It's
He's
a
wearing, what do you
I'll
call
have
that strap thing?
Baby Bjorn.
Exactly.
He's wearing a baby Bjorn with a baby.
Full of
in it,
baby.
Drinking a glass of milk. He was being a
Luis is
Yeah.
dadding around right now.
Dadding around. He is
He's
a
Disney dad.
Oh my gosh.
Disney dad. He's laughing and shaking his head. No. Yeah.
He-
That's Disney dads do.
Hey,
Disney dad.
you're a daddy.
It's true.
All right.
Well, we'll have to take a picture of him. It's quite funny.
All right. Stop rating Luis. Rate this movie.
We can hit you next.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'm gonna give it an 8 as well. I liked it a lot, but there were some moments with it we were just kind of skip over like the history.
Sure.
books.
Just like a history books do.
Just because it's just insensitive,
Right.
And I think that maybe if I was, I'm sure kids don't know the difference, honestly.
Right.
But as an adult now, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like that kind of
Ouch.
burns a little, you know, and it's just kind of hard to watch, and you can't like laugh. Like there's supposed to be funny scenes in that part.
Right.
Like, and there's funny things that they say, but it's also like I feel torn, like oh,
Yeah.
it's not funny.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
But overall, I enjoyed it. I would watch it again when the stupid thing comes out of the vault. I'm gonna buy it.
Come on out of the vault, Peter. Peter.
And I really, really enjoyed Hook. Like,
Yeah.
very much enjoyed him. He was funny. Smee, like I said,
Hook and Shmee.
we thought he was annoying, and he redeemed himself in
Right.
my eyes and Louisa's eyes. So, yay, Smee, yay.
Yay, Shmee.
Shmee,
Shmee.
Shmee to me. So.
So funny.
Michelle.
I'm gonna give this movie an 8.5.
5.
Mine's a little bit higher probably for like a nostalgia aspect. And it's funny that I'm talking about nostalgia. This has nothing to do with the movie. But
Disneyland.
yes, back in the day, at the Disneyland Hotel, you know where the pool is? Outside the Disneyland Hotel, like if you walk downtown Disney.
Where Trader Sam's is?
Yes. Where Trader Sam's
That's
is.
the fun tiki bar.
Oh, okay.
You've been
I've
there.
been
It's
there.
the fun tiki bar place.
Yeah.
Yes. That restaurant
Fun
used
tiki
to
bar.
not be there, like Trader Sam's and the little thing next to it. It used to be a Captain Hook themed restaurant, and I was very, very young,
That's
and
really cool.
my parents would take us there every time I went to Disneyland, and I can't think of the name of it for the life of me, and I'm gonna look it up now because now
The
I'm
Jolly Rancher.
no, it was not called the Jolly Rancher, but I really, really remember that. So Peter Pan has always kind of been like a childhood favorite of mine, so I'm giving it an 8.5, especially for that music.
Question. It's really interesting because before going to Disneyland with Michelle, I never saw Peter Pan, and then like now that we're there with her, I don't know if I have like hawk eyes for her, but I've always like, there's Peter, go run!
I never
He's everywhere.
necessarily see him in
Like I'm like, he's over there! And I get excited for her because none of my favorite characters ever come out. Like some Hercules, Mulan one time, like geez. But do we ever see? And Tinkerbell, she used to be up on the fireworks, but
Oh,
not
right.
anymore. But question: is Captain Hook ever at the park?
I've never seen him in the park.
Because I swear, if I met him, that would be a jolly.
So
day.
fun.
I feel like
Maybe for the Halloween stuff.
has he been in like the parades or anything
Yeah, the
like that?
Halloween parade. He was in the Halloween parade.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But
I feel like I've seen his big old foam face
Yes.
somewhere, you know.
But they do such a good job with it. Like
Right.
it looks
Yeah.
just like the animated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we go for Halloween again, we'll definitely have to get a picture with Captain Hook. I agree.
Yes.
He might be a new favorite. Like he's
New
He's
fave.
legit.
Captain
and I
Hook.
like his coat.
Bring me my fanciest coat.
So funny.
Mike Hooks.
Overall good ratings.
Good ratings. Good stuff. Peter Pan. All right, we did it. You guys. So for the next movie is not yet announced, but check out our
We'll figure it
Instagram,
out.
and it'll be announced there. And also next month we'll have more voting. So stay locked on our social media platforms.
And thank you for voting. That was really enjoyable.
Yes, we appreciate all of you and all of your comments and all of your likes and all of your follows. So hook us up. We are at the Walt Vault Pod on Instagram. That's where all the action is happening. But you can also follow us on Twitter at the Walt Vault Pod, or you can like us on Facebook at the Walt Vault Pod. If you want to ask us a question, feel free to DM us, or you can send us an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com, and we may just read your message on the show. The Walt Vault Pod, the Walt Vault, is available to subscribe to on YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, literally every podcast app on Earth, and of course iTunes, which is where we want you to leave us reviews so that people can find us. That would be very appreciated. That's it for now, guys, but we will see you next week. The vault is now closed.
You might wait a whole lifetime like Peter Pan.